Hi guys, good evening everyone, and my name is Patrick Juranek. I am founder and CEO of Startups Disrupt. It's my pleasure to welcome you here at this first event for our launching in Turkey. We are really happy that we were able to expand all over like Europe to beginning our expansion to Asia, to Turkey, from the Czech Republic, from Central Europe. And why we actually decided, for Turkey, because as well, what we checked for the last couple of months, that even during this pandemic, the Turkey startup ecosystem made a really huge success, I would say. We found that there was over like 44% rise in investments in the second quarter, despite the pandemic. And even besides of this, we can see that there is strong like the heritage and as well great power of startups, and even some of the unicorns are coming from the Turkey. So we are really happy that we are here. And so today's event about startup ecosystem in Turkey. And right now, I would like to give a word to Ozan, who will be the moderator for today's discussion. And after 1 hour of this discussion, we'll have another, let's say, 20 minutes of pitch night with two founders who will pitch their idea, their startup, and hopefully our speakers can give them some meaningful advice, how to proceed, how to improve themselves. So Ozan, the word is yours.
Hi, guys. Patrick, the one with the K.
Hello.
I'm going to. Hey, the Patrick one with the C. We have one with the C, one with the K. So I'm going to kill the Patrick. Yeah, I'm going to kill the non-Turkish Patrick for spelling my name wrong. I'm not going to forgive that kind of stuff. But anyways, this is good.
Sorry. Sorry.
No, well,
Yeah, man, ask me about that, man. Like, look at my name.
I did not see yours.
No, it can become anything, believe me.
And welcome to whoever is watching this. I'm sure you guys are wondering, what are we doing at the middle of this pandemic, talking about Turkey? Actually, this is actually the perfect time to talk about places like Turkey in the pandemic. What I see going after living abroad in US and Middle East, these type of economies, emerging economies, when they get hit, they respond much quicker. The founders respond much quicker. They build things much faster. And even at this level, when incumbent companies fear what they're going to lose, startups rise to the challenge. I may be a little bit optimistic. This is not my usual self, but I want to kind of open with a good note and end with a good note. And to open with a good note, I'm going to start with the youngest of our batch, which is the Patrick with the K, Patrick with the Shalwar, who is actually currently in my hometown, living in my hometown. I'm in Istanbul. He's in Izmir. And he's been working with entrepreneurs for a long time. And now he's built a different model of an accelerator recently, which is going pretty good. And he's the crazy, honest Belgian guy working in traditional Turkish clothes. And that's kind of the spirit we needed for a while, because everybody seemed to be much like each other. So these three people are quite unique. We had one of the first female VCs, actually not one of the first, actually one of the first, because the other one is Rina. And we have one of the youngest VCs in Turkey, Enis. And we have, again, the youngest Belgian in Turkey helping startups. So I'm just going to leave the floor to Patrick, then to Enis, then to Dilek, just to give a short introduction of themselves. Good to see you, man.
It's also very nice to see all of you, actually. Enis, I really miss you, as you know. I'm still waiting for you here in Urla, as you can imagine. Same thing for Dilek. It's also way too long. Happily, I'm very happy to work with Ozan also now, because with Ozan, he's also part of the mentorship we are doing with the Now Sprint. So I'm from Belgium, came to Turkey a little bit less than 8 years ago. The reason is love. It's very simple. So I married somebody from Turkey. I lived and worked more than 5 years in Istanbul. Then I got really tired and sick of it. I will be very, very clear about that. I think it's a very, very nice city to visit, but it's a very hard and harsh city to work and survive there. And I still think that's true. So we came to Izmir, actually to Urla. If I am a little bit slow in talking, or if I start rambling a little bit, don't be annoyed by that. I have a stomach cancer, diagnosed 3 months ago, and I'm in chemotherapy, which I had just this weekend. So I'm super tired, and very weird things are going on in my body. And weirdly enough, this is my third panel of the day. So I'm like, my God, how are we going to survive this now? But all nice things, all nice things. So I came here, I was an entrepreneur for more than 30 years. I started 13 companies, sold 2 companies, which actually gives me a little bit a credibility in the sense of, I know what it is to start a company. I know what it is to grow a company, and I know how it is to sell a company. I did all of the companies bootstrapped, and I'm still proud of that I did that. I had shareholders afterwards who put money in the company and stuff like that. But I started everything bootstrapped, which means that I always focus on problem and solution. That is for me the main thing. So in these 8 years, we have been doing StageCo. We started StageCo 8 years ago. It's a platform where we organize startup weekends, hackathons, ideathons, name it. Then we started with workshops. And finally, and it is very interesting because thanks to COVID, I could do this. I started my own accelerator. That was my big dream. I actually met Enis when I did the Startup Bootcamp Accelerator. So that's more than 5 years ago. And for 5 years, I've been hoping to find people who would pay the trainer, as we say, but nobody pays the trainer. So COVID actually brought the opportunity to start an accelerator online, which I don't do now for Turkey, which I do now for a bigger region, mainly Africa, Balkan, East Europe, and Southeast Asia. Already the second cohort. In the first cohort, we had already one startup invested, just moved to Dubai, as I was just talking with her today. And it's all for free because I want to understand how this works now. And what I learned is that we don't have the same, so we are different from Europe and the States in terms of startups and the way we do things. But we are actually the same as what I see in Africa and South Asia and everything else. And I just wrote a blog post about it. Is the lack of education and the lack of professionalism, which I now see even more than before when I was only focusing on Turkey. So that's what we have been doing. So now Sprint is really going well. I really like what we're doing. It's a 1 month. It's very fast. It's more like a pre-acceleration education workshop kind of thing. I'm not concerned about money. I'm concerned about impact. Ozan knows this. So for me, I just had a discussion with the Orange Corners. Orange Corners is a project from Holland in Africa. And we were discussing what is a startup and what is an entrepreneur. So I see a lot of entrepreneurs, for example, in Africa. I don't see startups. And actually, to be honest with you, I see a lot of entrepreneurs in Turkey, but I don't see many startups.
Yeah.
So for me, it's exactly the same thing. So this is the kind of, I don't hope it's not too long. My introduction, but that's what I wanted to share with you. So if you want to know about Now Sprint, so nowsprintaccelerator.com, please be my guest. More than happy to talk to you. Enis.
Nice.
Thank you.
Enis.
Should I be up next, or is it going to be woman's last?
Yeah. I mean,
I don't think that's fair, but I'll do it anyways. Yeah. So thanks a lot, Patrick, and I hope you get well soon. And hopefully, I'll see you in Urla over the next couple of weeks. My name is Enis. I'm one of the general partners of Startups Istanbul. Startups Istanbul is a VC fund under the broader Startups network, where we invest into entrepreneurs from Turkey and Eastern Europe who are building stuff globally. Over the past 4 years, we've invested into 40 companies. All of these companies will have either their headquarters or their technology offices in Eastern Europe and Turkey. And these 40 companies now collectively generate more than $120 million in annual recurring revenue. They employ a bit more than 2,000 people across different offices, but predominantly in Turkey. And now we're doing our second fund. So the basic idea is to invest into Turkish entrepreneurs who are building global products and who are focused on exporting technology. We work closely with Patrick. I always look into the companies that he sends me. In fact, he did send me the company that just made the move to Dubai. Unfortunately, we didn't have the fund set up and ready yet, so we missed the deal. Maybe we'll hop on the bus later. And now hopefully we'll co-invest with Dilek sometime soon. And now I want to pass it to her so that, we only have one female, so.
So it's great to be here. Hopefully, Patrick, you will get well soon, and we love you. So I'm Dilek Dayinlarli, founding partner of ScaleX Ventures. Actually, I define myself as a venturepreneur. So ScaleX has a bit of more history, like 3 years. I've been investing for a long time. I was putting my own angel money and also getting into the companies and help them like a part-time executive to go global. Why I all started is I see so many opportunities and great entrepreneurs here, but I think access to talent, playbooks, and networks is really hard when you are out of the epicenters. So my aim is how I can connect them to those and help them create big success stories. I want to find them at the unusual places. I think Turkey is one of the most unusual places on earth, but it's one of the best opportunity. The companies that I invested, they are like big companies all around the world now. My partner is also an entrepreneur. We really want to change the VC place, like get into the companies and help them out. And you will see us a lot probably for the next couple years and 10 years, 20 years.
So you guys are like, Enis is on his second fund. They finished everything from the first one doing follow-on financing. Dilek has raised her first fund, and there are a few more people raising new funds. And I'll do the reverse order this time, starting with Dilek.
Okay.
What I've seen so far in Turkey is the fund sizes were really small. VC ecosystem in Turkey is not over. I think maybe today we're celebrating the 10th year, maybe. We don't have a fund that closed, as far as I know, a VC fund that finished the fund cycle completely. So this is a pretty freaking early stage VC ecosystem. You have been in different places and you've been a Kaufman Fellow. What do you think will happen once we have the second and third funds of VCs that's happening? I'm not talking about like what has happened, because everybody can read on VentureBeat, TechCrunch. What are we not seeing yet, and what will we be seeing in the future, in the next 5 years?
Okay, so I know you don't want me to go back, but I want to give them a context. So I'm also like a guest lecturer at Stanford talking about emerging ecosystems. So it's not just Turkey interests me. So I want to learn from other ecosystems also. And also I'm at Horizon 2020, which makes me to see like all startups all around Europe. So with that perspective, Silicon Valley, Europe, and Turkey, the first venture capital fund in Turkey built in 2012, which is 212 that I used to work. So like it's just the first generation, but even that, it's such a nascent and young ecosystem. We have been seeing so many good exits. I mean, we now have one unicorn, which we have been waiting for a long time. Peak Games, I think they have been an amazing success story. And also, even though they got so much less capital than the peers in US or Europe, like they are so capital efficient. I'm not saying it should be like that way. But what I'm saying is, even though we had so much less money, we have been creating so many success stories. And I think there's one reason here, couple reasons. One, we have to do it. There's no other way. We have so many young people. Like, to be honest, I was always complaining about the generation before us, why they don't do it or that. But now it's like my generation's job to make it happen. So my job is to help those people to create those stories. So I can't just go and complain. For me, I just created a fund. I believe in this market. And I like what's going to happen. I think we are going to see so much more success stories because now people are coming back with that know-how. Like it's a spillover effect. And the people who have seen those success stories, they are going to create their own companies and they are going to invest in those companies. So that know-how, I think, is going to create a bigger effect. What I want to see personally, I want to see more global success stories. That's because that's where I want to invest, and also more tech investments. That's what I'm really optimistic, as you can see.
Yeah, good. I mean, we need to start optimistic. We need to finish optimistic. And Enis, the same to you. Like you're not only investing in Turkey but also in the region. And you're already one of the few companies who almost raised their second fund. If you can tell us if you closed it, how much you closed it, that would be nice. Even if you don't tell me the real numbers, I can tell the real numbers. That's okay. I'm gonna give him a heart attack. And Rina is like, you can't do that. Anyways, I'm kidding.
It's fine. It's all public information. We're a transparent fund.
Yeah, come on. Like,
I'm a transparent-preneur. I love the name. So our first fund was only $15 million in size. We've deployed 80% of the capital. We still have 20%, but that's just going to be for follow-ons over the next year or so into the winners in the portfolio, basically. The second fund is 30 million euro in size. We just set up the vehicle 2 months ago. We got our investment license. Now we're finalizing the paperwork to do our first close. We're going to do our first close with a figure that's about 20.
Okay,
so
not
22 million
euros
ish.
Transparent.
We've now signed with. I can only say ish because we have a lot of investors, so you never know.
Yeah, paperwork.
It's great to give averages. And we deployed 20% of our capital to Eastern Europe. So in Fund 1, we did 10 investments in Eastern Europe in places like Bulgaria, Ukraine, Romania, and Greece. We're going to continue doing that in Fund 2 as well. I think the underlying thesis is that although we invest in different regions and different countries, the investment thesis is the same. I mean, in Turkey, we invest in companies that actually export technology, and we do the same thing in Ukraine. We do the same thing in Romania. It's not like we have a local play here in Turkey. Actually, intentionally, we didn't invest into a number of local companies, which ended up being really successful, but it just didn't fit our investment thesis in the first place. If you look into our deal flow, coming to your question, in Eastern Europe, we see 80, if not 90% of the entrepreneurs that directly go for the international markets, and predominantly Western Europe or mostly the US. That's basically because the economies are small, fragile, low population, so you have to start by selling abroad, which wasn't the case in Turkey when we started. So 4 or 5 years ago, if you looked into our deal flow, I would say it would be 30% companies that go international from day one, and then 70% companies that try to mature in Turkey, get to a certain level in Turkey, and then perhaps expand regionally. Now it's vice versa. Like 70% of Turkish entrepreneurs now think global from day one, at least from our deal flow, and only 30% just target the local Turkish market, given the geopolitics and the economy.
Yeah, so it seems like what Patrick had been preaching, I was away for the last 6 years, so I can't claim any responsibility for the mind change except for occasional stage appearances and kicking some startup. But Patrick had been on the ground pushing this. Dilek, Enis, a lot of the VCs had been pushing this. Turkey seems large in terms of population, seems large in terms of economic size, but it's not comparable to any of the emerging economies or emerged economies in terms of how much money is spent on startups, how much money is spent on technology. B2B sector is really difficult for any of the startups to get into. Incumbents have like almost cartel power. They dictate their own terms. They don't like working with startups unless it's for a very cheap white label, white slave consultancy type of gigs. So it's really difficult for companies in Turkey to start selling big, especially technology, especially to B2B. So Patrick had been preaching that for a while, and I'm happy that he's built a global accelerator at the end. So Patrick, since you're also seeing very early stage startups in coming to your program, although virtually, but in Turkey, what are the key things that are similar that you see? What are the things that are like, do they come with a different mindset than Turkish entrepreneurs?
Well, I want to go back first. Before I answer this question, I want to go back to what Dilek and Enis said. And so one of the things I always appreciated with Enis is that he always does his homework. He knows the figures by heart. So most of the time when you ask a startup what's on your bank account, they don't know. What is your turnover this last month? They don't know. They have no idea what they're doing. So I like the approach of Enis, who always knows his facts. So that's very important. So I want to put something, and also according to what Dilek says. So in the blog post that I wrote this week, there was something that struck me very much, and it's not that I'm a Belgian fan or something. I mean, I moved to Turkey for a reason. Not love was the first one, but then I also started to like very much the country, and I would never go anywhere else unless other reasons that are nothing to do with my relationship with my wife. So when I saw that in Belgium is 11 million people, it's smaller than Istanbul, 700 million euros was invested from the 1st of January until today. So it's always good to put things in perspective. So we are talking about a fund. I mean, with all respect to Enis, I know that you have to work very hard for that fund, but we are talking about funds of 10, 15, 20 million dollars or euros. Okay, for us now it seems a lot because of the lira is going up like crazy, but at the same time we have to put everything in a context also. So we are, as already said also by Dilek, we are at the start. And what I see now in doing the program now, so we have in this in the last cohort we have 2 Turkish startups. So in what is in Belgium so important was education. And education is a long-term game. So if today in biotech there is invested $400 million in Belgium, is because of an education that has started in 1425. And that education has always been free because the state funded. So what is now the nice thing is that in Europe, you see there is enough knowledge. And of course, we're not as fast in Europe as in the States, for example, but we do have a very good basis on technology-based startups. If I look at the Turkish startups, I mean, it's nice that we have games, and we are all very excited that we have a unicorn in the games sector, which is nice. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. It's business. So bottom line is it a profitable business, yes or no? But all the other things I see going down instead of going up. So I remember I talked with Enis 7 years ago or 6 years ago. I was always against the fact that we only had e-commerce. And actually today, I still see platforms in e-commerce. And now, of course, we have games. We have Gram games, and we have all the other ones. But at the same time, there is no single collaboration with the university today with us, which is very weird. It's the first 2 years, in all the years that I'm here, I'm not working with any university at all, because the university kind of said they do introspection. They go inside. They don't go outside anymore. If they do something, it's what I call show. It's AIESEC Turkey. So who is the biggest checks and the nicest and whatever. But actually there is big checks. But actually there is no fund. There is no bottom that you say, wow, on this we can build now. So, and I see this going down. I don't see this going up. This is only my interpretation, because I'm working with early stage. I'm not working with the kind of startups that Dilek and Enis is working. So I look at the people who start now, who we hope in 3-4 years will do something special. And there is nothing now. There is nothing now. So that is. So I'm also a positive guy. That's I'm born like this. But at the same time, I also see a reality. And the reality is that we see very good things going out. So what stays here is trying its best, and there is a good vibe. But bottom line, I cannot be positive today. I cannot. It is impossible for me.
And maybe this is, well, I'm usually Now I had to get into my own self, which I was trying to be very optimistic. But again, we were discussing this with a few friends and even with Patrick. If today the TÜBİTAK, the National Science Foundation of Turkey, stops early stage investing, there will be absolutely no startups left in Turkey. Nothing working on technology, nothing working on global products, nothing working on AI. It doesn't have to be like a hardware research-based startup. If TÜBİTAK funds gets cut down, and there's a recent change in how TÜBİTAK will grant these funds into universities, which I'm not sure if it's going to help or not. None of the universities have invested their own resources. Not many of the universities have built partnerships with institutions abroad. I worked for one of the largest ones, and I made sure we made 20 investments in 3 years, out of which 5 of them got follow-on funding from large accelerator programs. So we proved that university funds can lead to global startup acceleration. But then it all stopped because the fear of losing money is absolutely the highest in Turkey, unfortunately, in institutions. And the problem with that is when the economy is going down a little bit, then the fear increases. Now I think it's a good time for investors like Enis and Dilek to kind of find real rare individuals who are building strong startups. So for good startups, it's easier to fundraise. But if you're doing e-commerce, good luck. For games, it's easy. If you're doing an AI on B2B, maybe. So I'm going to kind of turn that into Dilek and Enis and to say, what are the types of companies, what are the types of industries and business models are you prioritizing to look into to come over this gap of revenue flows and this gap of market shortage?
Go ahead, Enis.
All right, go ahead. But first, I'll challenge you. If you look at anywhere in the world, say countries like Turkey, which are say Poland or Hungary, these. I'm not saying like look at the US or look at the UK or Israel. I mean, these are countries that are like at Turkey standards. Middle East is something, whatever. Hungary, Poland. If you look at these companies, the whole value chain is set up on public money. Dilek's fund, 50% EIF, public money, which is partly by the treasury, again, public money. Our fund, treasury, public money. If you look at Poland, pension funds have been pouring money into VCs. So in Poland, there were 80 VCs that were set up in a span of 4 years, out of which 12 of them actually IPO'd into the public market. In Hungary, there's Ventures, Hungarian Innovation Ventures. They invest into 300 startups every year, public money. So it's not abnormal that TÜBİTAK is the only source of early stage funding in Turkey. It has to be that way. In fact, public money is going to be the only source of funding at seed, Series A, Series B, Series C, all the way to IPO, either directly or indirectly, like in the case of myself and Dilek. So I don't think that's abnormal. I think what's lacking in Turkey is if you look at Turkey between 2010 and 2020, the amount of VC investments have been about $80 to $100 million every year. It didn't increase, unfortunately. Whereas if you look into the region, if you look into places like Saudi Arabia or Egypt or UAE, which can't even be comparable to Turkey 10 years ago, now have more investments into the startups than Turkey. Where Turkey leads is exits. I mean, over the past 3 years, 2.5 years, the total amount of investments in Turkey have been about $250 million. The total amount of exits from Turkey has been $3.3 billion. That's more than 10x difference. Take Peak Games apart. Say Peak Games is an outlier. We don't count Peak Games. Still, that's like 5x difference, $1.5 billion. You look into any emerged markets, say Germany, Poland, whatever, Belgium, you're not going to see that arbitrage. And that's the arbitrage that we're trying to leverage. And more public money sources are coming into this landscape, whether directly like TÜBİTAK on early stage or indirectly through different banks or fund of funds or pension money or going directly to the public market. I think that's only going to accelerate, which is why I'm positive. Coming to your question, which was?
Like, what are the areas expertise? What are the technology parts?
Sure, whatever.
AI, machine learning.
I'm really into fintech, so I'm not. So putting gaming apart, obviously, I think Turkey now has a huge talent for B2C mobile applications with either in the gaming or in in-app purchase nature. like Meditopia is a good example of that. I think we have some skill set over there. And then B2B enterprise. 70% of our portfolio in Fund 1 has been B2B enterprise companies. But I mean, pretty much we're industry agnostic. So this can be fintech, health tech, AI, enterprise automation, whatever. But our sweet spot has been, who has a ringtone like that? What kind of a person are you? I'm kidding. So I think
kind of a person.
nice kind of a person. So I think the big opportunity in enterprise is more on the mid ticket, which is say $1,000 to $10,000 per month ticket size. And if you are actually selling your service to outside Turkey, we always push for the US. Like 65% of our portfolio companies generate revenue from the US, and that's mostly because if you look into enterprise technology budgets, US is larger than all of the world combined. I mean, no matter which country out of the 200 whatever countries you put on, US is larger. That's why a lot of the enterprise technology companies in our portfolio directly go for the US market. Where we lacked in our Fund 1 is that we didn't do much B2C investments with a global that have a global appetite, whether that's companies like Meditopia or the gaming companies that we've actually looked at. That has been our anti-portfolio companies. And with Fund 2, we want to have like a 50-50 split between the two instead of the 70-30 that we had in Fund 1.
Okay, that's good.
So I wanna challenge first too. So why? I think because I live in the weeds and talk to so many people every week. At least I talk to 20 new entrepreneurs, and also see how they mature along the way. Imagine an ecosystem. You only have 20 cents for each person, VC investment for each person. And comparing, I mean, Israel is the top $250.
Not comparable.
But even like in Europe, average is $50. So there's a huge gap at the investment side. But as Enis said, I think the outcomes are huge. And I think this is a really unique moment in the ecosystem because now we have the exits. In my fund, European Union invested in my fund. They are the biggest anchor. They believe in a company, like a fund in Turkey. And the rest is successful entrepreneurs and really successful VC GPs. I mean, like manager of top VC firms in London, East Coast and West Coast in US. So I think they really believe in the companies coming out of this ecosystem, that's for sure. And also, obviously, the entrepreneurs that I see, I think they really changed their mindset. They were really good. Nothing changed, but they would only focus on the local ecosystem or local market to sell their product. And now, like, they have to think different. Even COVID, I think, helped a lot because now they have to think differently. And for ourselves, we really believe in the marketing-driven sales, which is like product-led sales that you can sell all around the world, that we are really strong. And I've been working with companies. I've been helping them to grow into like global markets. And like all of them are more than 10 countries now, and even creating a big presence in the US. So I've seen it, I've done it. So I feel in my blood that's going to keep happening. On the portfolio side, I love deep tech, AI, machine learning tools, security. I think Turkey has a really unique edge at the security part. I know it sounds crazy, like how you are going to sell a security product from Turkey, but it happens because of army and unique engineering capability. And also, I know it's going to sound crazy. I know I'm also complaining about the education system, but like imagine a country, 80 million people. In your university, every year you have 8 million people. In Germany, I think it's around 3 million. And your best of best becomes engineers. Like in US, your best of best becomes investment bankers or lawyers, so business people. So your best pool becomes engineer. And if you're a good engineer, to find best of them and make them work, you have a really good loyal pool. So that's what I really believe in. I mean, Berkay, my partner, he sold his company to Atlassian, and we see with our eyes, like best engineers are coming from Ankara in the Atlassian team. So I think that's a really unique edge. And for me, I mean, as I already told you, B2B, I love B2B, AI, like deep tech companies. On the B2C side, we always say easy or hard startups. Like if your technology is like hardcore tech, traction is less important in our mind.
Yeah.
Market opportunity and team is more important. But on the B2C side, we always want to see some traction because genius mind lays there, like how you can grow that B2C part. So, but mostly B2B.
So
can I elaborate on that? Am I allowed to elaborate on that or no?
I'll give you one hook. So what I think is going to happen is you guys are going to be able to find good deals, but the number of good deals will shrink, but still good enough for VC investments. What I'm worried most about is we don't have many accelerators left. That we actually probably don't even have an accelerator in the general sense, where somebody comes and puts $10,000, $20,000. I'm not even talking about $100,000 or 120 like YC 500 does. And then they grow up to some amount of group of people where they actually become a much bigger pool. I think there's a small pool of talented entrepreneurs who you will be able to invest, but that pool will start shrinking down because they're going abroad.
Just to give you an idea, the companies that I invested so far, which became successful, they all came with TÜBİTAK money, to be honest. So they got funded by TÜBİTAK till they come to us. They never came out of accelerator. So
exactly, because they're not giving any money. Accelerators in Turkey have never taken the time to invest into those startups, except for giving mentorship and training and location and etc. But Patrick is doing something else in the accelerator. And I really want to know why you think the model to give more acceleration to early stage and just pushing them to revenue is a better model for Turkey, which I think is because there's no early stage money. And VC investments are going up, but I don't see angel investments going up. So what do you think, Patrick? And you talk to a lot of angels, a lot of them you've been friends with. So what's the missing? What's the gap in there?
I will.
Can you hear us?
I mean, I don't know if there is a gap. I think it's a question of attitude and strategy. So these two things. So I think the attitude is still that a good acceleration program is still not really accepted in Turkey because so if you look at Y Combinator, for example, I don't know the exact figure. 5% of the invested capital goes to the team that does the acceleration. So that's like a standard that you see everywhere in the world. I think that even 500 startups is doing something equal. So they have an investment fund. X% goes to the team that accelerates teams, and they take equity and that kind of thing. So we started 5 years ago with Startup Bootcamp. They're already gone now, so they're not there anymore now. So we don't have this thing, and what we call acceleration today in Turkey. I to be honest with you, I don't call this acceleration. I have been having a lot of discussions about what is acceleration. We even have this website that says like this is acceleration. I say no, that's not acceleration. I also discussed a lot with Enis about what is an acceleration program, what should be there in there. So we don't have, in our region, we don't really have a lot of respect for knowledge. So knowledge for us is something, if I cannot touch it, then it's not knowledge. So if it is in your head and you're smart, we're not going to pay you. So but that's an attitude of the whole region. That's not only Turkey, by the way. That's the attitude of the region. So that's one thing. Secondly, Enis just wrote something interesting for me to answer about. So secondly, there is the whole thing about equity. So early stage, I saw this with Startup Bootcamp where I was involved. So in early stage, I remember in the first cohort, they didn't even sign the papers when they already started with the team. So that was a huge problem because they had to find out, oh, these teams are already working and now we still have to sign papers for equity. And on what do you base this equity? Some came with an idea, some came with something that already existed, some never came to the accelerator program. So how do you do all these things? So equity-based is already a very hard thing. So I just saw this question about why do you bootstrap an accelerator? Because I call myself an accelerator, but I really don't really like that word, but that's something that we know now. It's about knowledge sharing and confronting people. And that is also what Ozan is very good in. We confront people with have you validated? Is this true what you're saying? Or are you playing Pinocchio? Are you playing Pinocchio to yourself, long nose? Or are you playing Pinocchio to your friends and all these people who may be invested in money in you? So is it Pinocchio or not? So I always do this when I do the training. I always talk about Pinocchio. If you are Pinocchio, you will never get invested. If you validate it, you have traction, you have sold your product, then you are not Pinocchio anymore. So that's about it. That's it. That's what we want to do. With Now Sprint, we want to confront people with, are you Pinocchio or not? And that's it. That's where we stop. And from there on, they can go anywhere they want. But at least they will not lie to themselves anymore, because that's what I see all the time. We love our idea, we love our friends, because it's most of the time friends who come together, who start a company, and that all is feasible. I'm not saying it's not possible to do it like that, but most of the time it's Pinocchio. So I want to get the Pinocchio story out of their heads and see if it is really something meaningful, yes or no. To give you an idea, in Now Sprint, I start with problem statement. It's a very simple thing. So I asked, what is your problem statement? It takes me 2 weeks from 11 teams to have a sentence that just captures the problem. Then secondly, what is the market? So, and I'm not talking about solution in the first 3 weeks. I don't want to hear the solution. I want to hear, what is your problem statement? What is your market statement? And I don't have answers. And I see this all the time. In any country that we have been working now, it's always the same thing. So that is what I see, and that is why we like to do what we are doing, confronting people with themselves. That's actually what we are doing, like a sort of therapy, I think, for some. So that's the nice part. Secondly, I also have to admit that with Now Sprint, of course, it's very nice to do these things for free and help people and impact. I mean, I will probably go straight to heaven with all these things, but I'm not sure, because I think I will go under the ground. And then comes the next step, which is a very important one. How can I monetize this? Because I want to be sustainable in what I'm doing. So I don't know for the moment. I really don't know for the moment. And I didn't ask anyone money until now. But I want to understand for myself now, okay, what is now my next step with what I'm doing? Because we are doing more on impact than like what the VCs think bottom line. They say, and I'm glad Dilek and Enis are there, because they are bottom line thinkers. They say we invest so much money. This is the expected return after 5 to 10 years. I mean, everything is figures and bottom line. But there is no like, is this nice? Is this beautiful? Are my children going to be happy with the startup now? They don't think like that. They think bottom line, and that's good. I have no problem with it. Business is business. So we are doing something else. We're trying to also work on impact. But if you talk about impact to VCs today in Turkey, it's like you are an alien. So they see me as, wow, this guy is really crazy. He has cancer. He's doing 2 programs. He's doing them for free, and he's into impact. I mean, how crazy can you be in Urla? So that is the place where I'm trying to juggle now, where to go now. But I will stay in impact, that's for sure. I don't want to go to the bottom. I've done this 35 years, sold 2 companies. I mean, I have been knowing my entrepreneurship enough. Now I want to do something else, but at the same time, I want to do the same thing as Enis and Dilek, is having successful / happy startups.
Yeah.
But from another angle. So that's the beauty of it.
So last year,
I'm dead now.
Nah, you have more to see, my friend. We have more record to share. One of the things that I did last year is to create an impact accelerator for United Nations, like UNDP program in Turkey. We open up the applications to solve one of the world's largest problems around refugees and migrant populations. And 80% of the applicants came from outside of Turkey. Turkey is hosting almost 4 million refugees, 3 million Syrians, and 1 million Afghanis, Iraqis, and African, Northern or Southern Africans. And that's a really, really big problem. We did this impact-focused program, and we did not have any attention from the Turkish companies, not from many of them. But we had been backed by Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and World Food Program. So on the impact side, it's really an uphill battle. But on the technology side, especially on things like cybersecurity, games, global B2C companies, so we have the best and worst of both worlds. And some of the participants are asking, especially to, again, from a cultural perspective. When you have a deal in that comes to your portfolio and you have the money, this is for Enis and Dilek. What would make you co-invest? The size, the tickets? Do you want to close and lead the round and close the round yourselves? Let's say $1 million. Startup is raising $1 million. When you have the money, what is the best way to kind of for startups to approach the investors like you? To get the best of both of you, what should be happening?
You mean how can you get money both at the same time from Enis and I?
Yes.
I love him and Rina, so I would love to invest.
There's a good question there on the board. The question says, will Dilek co-invest with Enis on any cybersecurity companies anytime soon?
Oh.
It's the other way around as well.
Exactly, this question.
Yeah.
I would love to. So I think at the end of the day, I mean, Enis, may I go first? So at the end of the day, how we look at it is we are open to co-invest for sure, with people who are really going to add value. So I think Enis and I it's really soon we are going to co-invest probably, and do many of them. What I really don't know, I mean, in our case, we really invest, take a board seat, help them out. Me and my partners, we literally spend at least a couple of days with them. We bring our LPs, which are really successful entrepreneurs who have done it before. And most of our management fee, we don't take it for ourselves. We are creating an operating team to help them out. So we could take that money, by the way. So in our case, we want to have at least some like percentage, but we are open to co-invest all the time. I can't give you a specific thing like how we can co-invest with anyone, but we will invest with everybody else.
I think the problem is, have you seen startup raising $5 million at early stages in Turkey? I have not been here for a while, so I might have missed it. But I don't see startups in Turkey raising $5 million at very early stages, like even pre-Series A or even Series A.
Even I think it's not just Turkey problem. It's like if you're out of Israel or Silicon Valley, even in East Coast, it's different. So, or if you are not in a hot space, we also get a lot of deal flow from Europe. So if it's a hot deal, which means it's growing really fast. In our case, imagine, I'm going to give you an example. We have seen a company in 9 months, they reached out to $1 million recurring revenue. And it's really high growth space. That company will get whatever they want, by the way. So that growth rate and being in a place that's going to grow fast, that's where you are going to have a lot of high valuation. But other than that, that doesn't happen all the time. So even in Silicon Valley, if you can tap that, you will get less valuation, which means if you are doing 1 million ARR, you will get like 20 million or 50, like 20 to 50 million valuation in between.
So Enis knows his numbers. So what was the largest check you wrote in your first fund?
Our fund is tiny. So when you look into our fund, the largest check that we wrote, I mean, our biggest investment into one company was 900K. The second largest is like, no, not at early stage. Over consecutive. This is over consecutive rounds, obviously, because the fund is very tiny. The second largest is like 750, and then we have 2 companies where we've put in 500K, and then all the rest are like 250K-ish. Coming to your question, unfortunately, in Turkey, we don't see big like seed rounds, so companies that just have a seed round that's like $5 million, but we have some which you don't hear about. Like in the gaming space, I know 5 companies that raised $5 million from scratch
over
with
$20
million. Exactly. There are other companies.
Sorry, Enis, to interrupt you. You will hear a company really early stage, and we brought a big investor out of Turkey. They got $1 million, for example, at very early stage. So that will keep happening.
That's what we need, because if we don't have those, then there's no larger funds. There's no appetite for larger funds to come. That's the gap I felt there could be happening.
I think what's tough is like looking into our portfolio to be able to raise that couple $1 million round. There's only a handful of VCs in Turkey, so we have to go abroad.
Exactly.
In total, our like 40 companies that we funded in Fund 1 cumulatively raised $330 million. Out of that $330 million, about 10 million was from Turkey, 320 was from international sources, mostly from the US.
Exactly.
If you go into early stage of that, so let's not talk about Google Ventures putting 60 million into Firefly, but if you look into BuyBuddy, they raised $2 million from Farfetch. If you look at Spiro Home, health tech company, raised 1.5 million from ERT, public company, a CRO from Germany, HQ in the US. If you look into Vivo, another health tech company of ours, they raised 1.5 million from Draper. So even after that 1 million level, you can't just rely on local sources. You have to look abroad, and to be able to look abroad, you have to have a global vision, global team, global revenue or traction in some sorts.
Yeah. So that's the dilemma that I was trying to mention. Like, we don't have larger funds to take the most out of this value created to remain and come back to Turkey. We have funds that started but get a small equity percentage. They don't have the funds to put an up to Series C, Series D, where they have 60% of $1 billion fund. That's not going to happen in Turkey, and that's the problem. Because if that money does not come from Turkish VCs to Turkish or regional entrepreneurs, unless that money is accumulated here, you're doing a great job finding good deals, but then Europeans and Americans are getting the most out of the valuation with IPOs and everything else. And that's kind of the dilemma with the emerging markets, which soon enough, it's not that we don't have the money. A lot of the Turkish conglomerates are LPs in large US funds. That now you just have to trust what is here to get advantage over back to the country as well. And I'm not like shy on my words. I don't like many of them. So we don't have much time left. And I really don't like this question too much, but I have to ask it because we are all stuck at home because of a freaking virus that's not going anywhere anytime soon. So for a long-term VC perspective, these events, as far as I've seen and read and talked to many people, one of them was Berkay, those events do not impact the VC's fund cycle in the long run, in the midterm, in the long run, because it's a 10-year fund. But has your perspective shifted, even in the short term, to focus on different areas, different industries, and have you prioritized some of them versus others? What's your take on this freaking virus issue? And I can start with Patrick. He's in the best.
He's been muted for a while. So let's unmute him.
He's in the best city in the world to be stuck in the home. Like he's in the best city in the world to be stuck at home. So it plays to his advantage. So Patrick,
I don't know. I mean, I cannot. Yeah. I saw. I mean, this is a classic answer that always comes. So I'm almost 60 now. So this is not the first crisis I see in my life. And the first crisis that I saw in my life, I had my business to run then. So what I see in every crisis, and this is a cliche, everybody knows it. A crisis has opportunities, it has challenges, and it has failures, and it will never change. So this is for me. I mean, this is a big crisis. Let's be very honest now. I mean, our kids are going to pay the debts that our governments are now making. And I'm not talking about Turkey alone. This is over the whole world. We are making billions of dollars of debt to get over this period now. And it will be our kids and our grandkids who will pay the bill. Believe me, it's not going to be us. Trust me. So every crisis has an opportunity. For myself, I can only speak for myself. I could never do Now Sprint International if there was no COVID, because I was actually going to start Now Sprint physically in Izmir, in the center. And then COVID happened, and I put everything on online, and then I said, fuck it, I'm going to go international. That was my big dream. If something from Turkey comes, it's good, but it doesn't need to be. And that was a very good decision and an opportunity at the same time. When I look at I do see, I really see a lot, because just like Dilek, I'm also talking to a lot of these early stage kids, and I say kids for a reason. So there is a lot of frustration today, and that frustration is maybe not so clear, but there is a lot of frustration because people cannot come together. There is no coffee machine anymore where you have a nice talk and that can or motivate you or inspire you, or you say, fuck it, I'm going away. So there is this kind of thing that we're missing. Yesterday, that was today, this morning, I had one of our teams pitching for an Indian whatever. And also, even in India, that's a big country, and there's billions of people there, and everybody's frustrated of not having this personal contact anymore. So I see a lot of frustration. I have no idea what that frustration will account to. I mean, less good startups. I don't know more. I mean, yesterday I heard a guy who's a psychiatrist, and he said, I am doing for the moment, most of the people that come to me are about going strange, people deceiving people in relationships. And I was like, how do you do that? Because we cannot go out of the home. So I was very astonished. I mean, I never thought about that this would be his main thing now. It's not about frustrating to be at home or frustration because I cannot go to work. No, it was all about people who are deceiving partners. And I didn't want to go into details because I was like, what the fuck is he talking about? So I don't know on the long term what this will impact now. But the fact that the guy was talking about deceiving partners, that was very weird for me, knowing that we have to stay at home. So I don't understand it. So long term, I have no idea. I think short term, let's see, next year, the same time next year, I assume we will be in another situation. I always think that we always want to go back to the same thing. We are conservative people. I mean, that is our nature. So we want to go back to dancing together in the marriages, all dancing together, pinky. I mean, that is what we want to do. We are waiting for that. So I see that coming, and then we will see also what will be the result of a year to a year and a half that we have been going through this crisis. Thank you.
Yeah. Enis, are you looking into more?
First of all, the coffee machine is still here. If anyone wants to come and have a chat, I'm at the office. I don't stay home. That's why I wear the shirt, not for this session, but because I'm in the office. And the coffee machine is still here. Thanks. Like when COVID-19 started happening, we looked into our portfolio and dissected it into different buckets or different groups, as to say. Some companies obviously got impacted a lot. We have one company in the restaurant space, in the dining space. Obviously, it got impacted a lot. A lot of our SaaS companies that were not in health tech also stagnated, even had some slight churn. So their growth stopped, their fundraising plans got disrupted. So we had to do some bridge financing. And then there were maybe 6-7 companies in our portfolio that got affected pretty well. A lot of them were health tech companies. One of them was a virtual gym membership company. It wasn't doing that well, but after COVID, we gained huge traction, did one round. Now we're doing a larger Series A with that company. Our health tech investments, really picked up. One of our companies, Carbon Health, they facilitated more than 60% of all the COVID-19 tests in California alone. Another company, Build Into One, also went into COVID testing through PCRs. And we did another huge, a large $15 million bridge financing there. So overall, I think the portfolio obviously got affected. Our net IRRs obviously dropped, but not as much as we have expected. And the SaaS companies, a lot of our portfolio is SaaS. That's why I'm pushing on SaaS and SaaS. Our SaaS companies stagnated, but didn't see churn or saw really slight, 2 to 3% churn over the past 6-7 months. Now they're persevering. They're trying to stay in the market so that once this whole thing ends and markets go back to normal, they're going to be positioned much better than their competitors.
Did that make you look into more health tech deals?
We actually did look, by chance, obviously. We invested into 6 companies in health tech in Fund 1. And I think those 6 companies outperformed the portfolio by far, if you look into only that 6. There was one question from the audience about bootstrapping in Turkey. I just want to slowly touch base on that because I think it's also related to COVID-19 situation. The cost bases are low in Turkey, obviously, but the cost bases are low anywhere in the world. If you go to Nepal, Bangladesh, go to Germany, even in Berlin, they say that their cost bases are lower than San Francisco. So having lower cost base in itself is not an advantage because it's low anywhere. What's important is how you leverage that low cost basis. And as we were doing our fund thesis, our thesis was to invest into companies that are too early to the market, meaning in the US, to be successful, we have to have the right team, right product, but right timing. Time is really critical. You can't be too early because if you're too early to sustain in the market, you need millions of dollars, which isn't the case for companies in Turkey. That's why 50% of our portfolio, we believe were maybe a bit too early to the market. It wasn't right timing. It is not supposed to be right timing. And if they can persevere, if they can sustain in the market, and if the timing becomes right over the next 3 to 5 years, they're going to become the market leaders. So with COVID-19, because digitalization accelerated, especially in the health tech space, it really helped our portfolio. These companies that were able to persevere and will be able to bootstrap further than their competitors in the US or in Western Europe are now seeing the positive results of that.
Dilek?
In our case, it's a bit different than Enis. So they already have a fund and portfolio, large portfolio. In my case, it was like my personal portfolio and the companies that I invested previously. So I think digitalization is accelerating. COVID really pushed that down. And as Patrick said, this is a crazy time. Everything is changing. Now we have new problems, which means we have so many new problems to solve. So for me, this is an opportunity for the next 10 years. The companies that I invested, Tundra, making your life easier if you are a developer, lowering the cost, and you can develop anything anywhere. So they're growing like crazy. Cybersecurity companies, because I think they really had a good push from the market on the cybersecurity side because it's getting more important. Attacks are growing. Data have been acquired by Amazon from Turkish team. The reason was data is becoming such an important thing. So I think digitalization is pushing everything. And this is an amazing time. Imagine e-commerce penetration is around like 10-15% all around the world. Next 3 years, it's going to be 50 to 60%. Imagine the flow coming up. So I think there's going to be so many opportunities. And I always bet on the tech. I think the ones who are early to market and help them bridge that gap with the right market, let's say. I think that's going to make a big difference. And personally, I see my daughter. I mean, education system needs to be disrupted, to be honest. That's my own passion. I really look for e-education startups all around the world. So
perfect. So again, my name is Ozan. I'm very happy to be accompanied by my friends, Enis, Dilek, and Patrick. Patrick, I wish you a speed recovery. You don't have another choice. Yeah. You're stuck in this place with us for a while. You're gonna suffer through it. We're gonna suffer through it until the end. Really happy for the team, Startup Disrupt, to put Turkey on the map. And these three people have been doing a lot of work over the last 10 years. And I'm very happy to be back and kind of catch up with them. Occasionally face-to-face, but usually even on virtual. WhatsApp helps. I will come to Urla as soon as I can. And I'll bring my little punk as well, which is not so little anymore. But so thank you so much. And we'll catch you up later. And I think Patrick is coming to take over the moderation. Thank you so much, guys. Take good care. If you guys have any other questions, my Twitter handle is Mr. Ozan Sonmez. You can poke me. If you didn't like it, you can complain. If you like it, go back to Startup Disrupt to say you liked it. Take care. I love you all. Bye.
Ciao.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
We can't hear you, Patrick.
Patrick, we don't hear you. Patrick, without see you, we can't hear you.
Sorry, can you hear me now, guys?
Come back. Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, so once again, thank you, Enis, and thank you, Ozan, for great moderation. So right now we are just before the pitch session where we selected 2 startup founders who will pitch their ideas. I can see that both of them, they are already prepared here. So it will be like that right now. I will give a word to the first co-founder, Enes Okulu, the co-founder of Mandel, who will pitch his startup up to 3 minutes. And after that, I will give a word to you, Dilek and Patrick, to give some meaningful feedback, something what could be maybe interesting to mention regarding to this page. So welcome, Enis.
Hi,
Enes?
can you hear me? Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, can hear you. So Enes, right now the stage is yours, so you can pitch your startup.
Thank you. It's Enes Hulli. My name is. I am co-founder and executor of Mandal. By the way, may you recover soon, Patrick, about your cancer. On Mandal, we provide knowledge and specialties of people to others. The thing that we did is because people were seeking work from someone that they cannot reach out really easily, and they cannot reach out in a private way, like without using any contact information. So on Mandal, it's a mobile app. We approve users, we approve their specialties, their professions, etc. And we list them, and we let them to reach out to specialties and knowledge by the basic keyword search, also the combination. So people here on Mandal preset their fee to talk to up to 10 minutes, and they change their availability whenever they want to. And they basically get a call from people that they are seeking for information and also like a know-how. In a planned event like a company company goal, or unplanned event like a coronavirus, people start to seek for some people that they didn't plan to search before. So on Mandal, we provide people that you may know already, but you cannot reach out easily because you don't know the contact information. Also, they don't know how serious you are about reaching them. We also provide people that you don't know they exist, but they exist already in some field that you're looking for. Also, we provide people with combination of professions. So when people looking for someone with a combination, like let's say agriculture and computer science together, they want to get an idea from someone that already have experience on these fields. They can easily reach out that person, and by paying the fee, they are making a web call by the app, by the Mandal, and they can talk up to 10 minutes. And after 10 minutes, maybe they can make a recall again, or they can chat on the app. And they basically, what we are doing here is reconnecting people to each other, but in a secure way with a high prestige. We don't allow any like a rose profile picture or any like misleading information. So on app, everything is like really clean. It provides only like keyword search. You basically look for a sector, professions, specialties, or location, or also name. So you make a search, keyword-based search. You find the list of people that is already approved by Mandal, and when they are available, when the caller get available, you make a call by paying the fee. We provide this to people. I think like 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Do I have any time, or like did I exceed the moment?
Okay, let's have another. Is it 30 seconds okay for you?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, great. You have 30 seconds.
Okay. So we already have like 750 users. We already are in like 29 sectors, over 130 professions. So our goal is people actually know their friends and some people for a really long time, but they don't know what they're doing actually. Like they don't know what they're interested in or what they just like started to do that. So our main goal is connect whole Turkish people at the first stage, whole Turkish people around the world by their professions and specialties. Thanks you a lot.
Okay, great. Thank you, Enes.
You're welcome.
Okay, and right now I would like to give a word to Dilek and Patrick. If you could give feedback to Enes.
Hi.
Hi, Enes.
Thank you. Dilek, please go.
Thank you for the presentation, Enes. So you mentioned you already have 750 users.
Yes.
Could you share how many transactions happened or the sessions happened?
The transactions are happened by only the people that we know by each other, because we didn't publish the app like with a like big advertisement or anything, because we were focused on impact power relative rather than like a technical transaction. There are 42 already, but these transactions made by people that already I know, or like I called them like for a test, but like it was on the real like real application. Everything was real by the like paying money, refunding, etc. Like I believe before we start to app with my friend, he left already, but before we start, I believe like we will start to have a transaction by unknown people, like to unknown each other after 1,500 people. So I'm focused on like when I make the advertisement and reach the people, I believe like after 1,500 people, the app will show the people that like there is someone that you may seek before but you couldn't reach. So there's him or her, so you can like get a call or call her or call him.
So, sorry, Patrick, may I ask one more? Why, like personally, what drove you to create Mandal?
It's because like trade deficit of Turkey, like 83 millions of people working in Turkey, really in the like really hard conditions, but we are really don't have orders in most of companies and most of like communications skills and like events, etc. The reason that I start this because people are creating something in Turkey, but they are really unknown. They're really unknown even for their like friends, families, or locations. So on app, I actually what I did is I make you more discoverable easily, but in a private way, because when you share your any contact information, like email or like phone number, can you feel sure that like someone is calling you and he or she is serious to reach out, or like it's just free and just like call you to get an idea from you? So we solved this problem. We solved that like people are serious here, and we approve them to list and have any interaction with others. So there is no like random calls or like random transactions, etc. So when you get a call from Mandal, you do know that there is someone exists already and it's approved by Mandal, and he or she is paying money to reach you out. So like there is something that they need you, they want to get idea from you, or like they want to work with you or something. Or in unplanned events like coronavirus, people were connected with each other by their companies and sectors already in Turkey for a really long time. But with coronavirus, people needed something unusual that they didn't connect it before, like for food industry or like mask industry or something. So they wanted to reach someone directly to ask something like if you can produce this or if it is possible. But there's like traditional ways to do that, like go search a company and look for someone, etc. And we solved this problem. Like what we did is contact someone directly, but without knowing their contact information. And they do know that you are serious about what you are doing and why you are reaching them. We solved this like a lack of communication skills here.
I'm gonna leave it to you, Patrick. Thank you, Enes.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. No, I just have two things. So first of all, there's something that is always, so it reminds me of MightyNet and all the other like private communities. So also for MightyNet, for example, you have to pay if you want to be in the group. So remember, LinkedIn in the beginning was also very strict on if you want to know somebody's email, then you have to pay, that kind of thing. So it reminds me a little bit of that. The only thing that I have is that reach is very important. So in marketing and communication, reach is an important thing. So you know, in the old style, television, radio, and posters, it is the opportunity to see. And we know that if you want to have reach, you have to go broad. And that is the CRM funnel where you go until you. So for me, if you put it immediately in a smaller context, then of course your reach is smaller. And then these people have to depend on your reach to get people into the network. So so that is what is it's not bothering me, but I'm thinking about it because I know that MightyNet is very popular now. It is like the answer to the LinkedIn's, and it is the answer to the Facebooks and the other groups that you can imagine. So I don't know if there is a real. So for me, I wonder if there is a real demand for it. I understand the story, but sometimes not always a good story is also a good business model. So for me, if you're saying I have 700 people who pay me, I have to be honest, and I'm going to play the role of Dilek now. I don't get warm or cold about it because 750 people. I mean, every person already has his own network of 150 people without doing anything, just existing on this earth and being on social media. So I don't get excited by 750 people. If you would say to Dilek, because I don't invest, so I will talk for her now. If you would say to Dilek, we have 1 million people on this platform, believe me, somebody will listen to you. So that is where to scale from 1 to 2 is one thing. To scale from 1 to 1,000 is another thing. That doesn't excite me. I'm going to be honest with you. If you say we have scaled in 6 months to 100,000, and then the set transactions and that kind of things and payments, then you get people excited for what you're doing. At this moment, personally, I'm not excited because I'm not sure if there is a real demand for what you're doing.
I got it.
And maybe we can ask you, do you have any questions for us? So maybe that will help you out somehow.
Well, like I get reached to many investors in Turkey, and like in Turkey, I don't know why, but like maybe in a traditional business model, they were actually just for transactions. So what I'm doing is like I focused on impact power rather than like traditional like a transaction number. So, but I don't think like I couldn't achieve that moment. So
what is impact number for you?
I said like impact power.
What is impact power for you? I'm an engineer, so I want to hear. Other than being an investor, I'm an engineer. I want to see the math behind it.
Yeah, the impact power is that you may like find someone that you are looking for while using this app, and you can do something really big. But without this app, you may not know even he or she exists yet. So this is the impact power, because maybe there are 2 or more than 2 people are looking for each other, but they cannot get reached out easily because they don't know what they're interested in or what they're doing with a combination. Like remember my example about agriculture and computer science. Like imagine that there are 3 group of people. They have the same idea, but like they don't know each other.
Okay, so can I? Yeah. Sorry, just to use the time for you, by the way.
Yeah.
For example, like you have to know your audience. If you are coming to a venture capitalist, my job is, I want to find the best of best who want to create big companies. So I'm not an impact investor, for example. Like on my personal money, I want to do an impact, but my job is not impact investment. For example, then you have to go to, if you are saying you want to create the impact power, then you have to go to impact investors. So that's why.
I got it. But it was my piracy. It wasn't like I wouldn't have any transaction. I will just like focus on what I'm doing. Is like what I was saying is like I prioritize the impact power, the hope of people are connecting each other and doing something really big via this app is my first priority, because it will be the like best advertisement for me actually, because in Turkey people don't trust each other really easily. Like there are always like bad news about like mistrusting, or like there are some bad news about Çiftlik Bank. Like he raised like 800 million of Turkish lira from the people, and these people were not like uneducated or something. Like they were known people by Turkey, and like he collected all the money, and people still have this like bad moments in their mind. So
I think it happens all around the world, and I think earning trust is one of the most critical thing in all the companies, not just Turkey, but all around the world. If you can make it, that's really unique and strong. What I'm trying to say, I know this is early stage and you are still navigating. This is perfect. For example, like as a person who have seen more than 10,000 entrepreneurs all around the world and helping them to grow and seen really successful of them, like the good ones always iterate and grow faster. Like they do a lot of mistakes, but they learn from them and grow. So in your case, I mean, this has been already done, as Patrick said. Like, I'm not saying you are LinkedIn, you are different than LinkedIn, but there are already LinkedIn, mighty networks. So even Facebook groups are like your jobs to be done, which means like, even though they are not the same, I can still go out and find them. So this is not something new. So then you have to have the edge of growing it or distributing it. How you are going to reach out to those people and create those right connections and create that trust is your special sauce. And if you don't show it, then it doesn't become the real company, let's say.
Yeah.
I know our time is up, I believe. Sorry. Patrick, let us know. Otherwise, we are going to talk till the morning.
Yeah. Okay. I think that it was really like great feedback. And thank you very much, Enes, for your time and for your page. Once more, thank you very much. And I wish you the best in your next journey. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Okay. And we have a second founder here who will be the Efe Kutuk, like the co-founder from Fun Mode Games. So, Efe, are you here with us?
Yes, I can hear you. Hello, everyone.
So, stage is yours. You have up to 3 minutes for your pitch.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Once again, this is Efe from Fun Mode Games, the board member and the game designer of the studio. Let me talk to you about Fun Mode Games a little bit. So, Fun Mode Games was founded around 3 years ago. And we've done some IP jobs, IP games, and interactive games to stay alive and survive in the industry. And after a year, we've decided to step up and unleash the beast and show everyone our hidden gem, which is our main project right now, our main game, Hit and Boom. So Hit and Boom is a mobile MOBA game, which is multiplayer online battle arena. The game is about simply creating a robot of your own and customizing the robot and prepare it for the arena to fight with other players and compete with them. It is definitely a casual game, and that's why we developed it on mobile and on Unreal Engine. So it is a pretty big project, and hopefully in 2 weeks we will be launching it for the very first time. So we are really excited. Hit and Boom is a game that you can compare with Brawl Stars made by Supercell, which is a great success and a role model for us because, as you probably already know, in 2018, they launched the game for the very first time, and they had a revenue around 420 million in the very first year of the game. And the game is also a MOBA game, and they're also stepping in esports. And it's the same thing counts for our game too. It's definitely a competitive game, but also in the same time it's wide to open players. I mean, it's wide to every player on mobile. That's why we develop it in a casual way, just like Brawl Stars did. So we have the spice of competitiveness, the fighting, but also the casualness. And that's one of the reasons that we really trust the project. And after a work of 1.5 years, we will finally be launching it soon. So we are really excited about it. And at the moment, we have a team of 10, a pretty small team for a casual game, to be honest. But in the next few months, we will be looking for our very first seed investment to come up with a publishing team for UA, for data analysis, and probably in 1 month we will be getting our very first data, which will be very important for the next iterations of the game. And hopefully we will be another success story and another gaming company success story from Turkey in the future. Thank you for your time. And okay. Patrick, I am wishing the best for you and a very fast recovery.
Okay, Efe, thank you very much for your pitch. Thank you. Woo! So right now, Dilek, what is your feedback?
Before feedback, I think I have a couple questions. You mentioned you launched it last week, right?
No, we are going to launch it in 2 weeks.
In 2 weeks. Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. So what would be your question? I mean, as a VC, probably it would be really hard for me to give. I would look at the first day retention and, but it's still really early. Maybe I can help you out with your question so you get the view.
Definitely, since you are also one of the partners of ScaleX and the success of Peak Games, it's really great to talk with you here. My very first question will be that, as you know, as a studio, we do not want to work with a publisher at that moment. I also came from a publisher background, a publisher background. So we want to self-publish the game, and for that cause, we will be needing, of course, some investment and at least and a good team for monetization, for UA, for marketing, you name it. And at this very time, we do not have any data because the game is going to launch in 2 weeks. What do you suggest us to do? Should we do the first tests, get the data, and then go to investors or VCs? Or as we are already doing right now, should we start going to VCs and talk to them and get the right investment and find the smart money to publish the game? Or is it too early?
So I hate giving really specific to-dos at this moment. I think you know the context better than me, your power, your edge. So, but I can give you how it works usually. If it's a professional investor, they want to see numbers and traction, or they want to know you as a team for a long time. So like for me, for example, if I'm doing an really early bet, because I need to believe in that founding team, I've seen them T0, T1, T2 time slots, and they've been showing really high progress. So that's what I look at, which means I need a longer time relationship. If you have that relationship with a professional investor, go talk to them because they've seen you for a long time and your progress. If not, you have to show them something. And I know if you have a good game, you need at least 250K. Otherwise,
that's for sure.
Yeah, we know they're going to come and see your numbers and your traction, and they will, we know China and how it works. So, or what you can do, I think this is a really good fertile ground now. Not professional ones, but angel investors might be interested in investing in your game. But then you need credible people who will tell they bet on you, so they make it easier for them to invest in your company, other people. That would be how I navigate.
Well, thank you for the advice.
Okay.
Mr. Dilek.
Yeah, Patrick, go ahead.
I'm a bootstrapper. So I also raised money in my own company. So what I learned is, if you go to an investor, and Dilek said something very important there, if you don't know yet anyone, stay away. You're too early. And I give you two thoughts just to think about. So when the review became very popular with Angry Birds, I talked to one of the co-founders, and it was there, and this is a known story, everybody knows this story, it was their fifth, 5-0, so it was their fifth game they brought. So you have now your first game, and I like your enthusiasm, and I can see in your eyes that you are like, yes, we're ready to conquer the world, and that's also the attitude you should have. If you don't believe in yourself, why would we believe you? So I just think, so be careful with this. So if you are doing your first game, and I'm not saying it's not going to be successful, but don't bother going to people with money, because as Dilek said, they want to see already something. So you put extra pressure on yourself while this is your first game you're going to launch. I don't know enough about, I'm not a gamer, so I'm not in this world, but what I do know is, and this is the same thing when we started with StageCo, is that don't underestimate the power of growth hacking, which means you do a lot of effort, but your tools are for free, or almost for free. I would use these tools and see what is the reaction to your game. And then if the reaction is in a certain way, like, or very good or very bad, it doesn't matter, then you will have data, you will have numbers. And from there on, you can decide for yourself, are we going to bootstrap this game? Are we going to a publisher? Or are we going to an investor? So give yourself the time to understand. I mean, when we talk normally to startups, we always say, if you have traction, then you have a story. So, but you don't have traction now. You can say, okay, we did some games ourselves. But, I mean, stay away from, I mean, Dilek, don't take this wrong, but stay away from investors, because it's just another burden on your shoulder, while this is the first game you're going to launch. So this means you still have a huge learning path in front of you. Learn first. Don't be afraid of that period that you still have to do games for other people or whatever you have to do for other people to make money. There is nothing wrong with that. So I don't believe in the instant stories where I made my first game after 1.5 years and boom, we're going to conquer the world. Of course there are people like that. Billions of people are in the world, and there's always one lucky guy. Always one lucky guy. But don't be sure that you're the lucky guy. It's better to think that you're not the lucky guy and work hard and see when you launch it what happens. As Dilek already mentioned, and also Enis, we are now very good in, so we are seen as the gaming country now. Actually, we see that because we have some successes in Turkey. Outside of Turkey, people don't think like that, but that's something else. But use this vibe that there is now, and use the free tools that you have today, and you will be surprised about the potential impact that you can have. And then go back to what Dilek said, or get to know people that you are on the radar screen. So that's what most of the time you do. You go to 1 or 3 investors, you talk about it, but you say, I just want to get to know you, what advice. So what you do is very good. You ask Dilek advice. Best thing you can do. So you ask them advice, but in the meantime, Dilek knows you now. She knows you now. So the next time you ask a question to her, that was effort. I talked to the guy.
Yeah,
so you have to do that with a couple of
point.
Yeah, and just build that relation. Yavaş. There's no hurry. Launch the thing and see what happens.
Yeah,
that
definitely.
Would be my two.
And maybe probably you're already doing. I mean, we have all those success stories. Like, I'm sure you are talking people who have done it before, like the people who have grew those games, and so I would definitely go and talk to them and learn from their experiences. So you have something strong that you can hold on to. They already tried and learned from their failures. At least start somewhere from an ecosystem perspective. Start somewhere on the top of their experience. And I think good entrepreneurs show that. So they always learn faster, find a way, learn faster. So I think this is one of the way that you can create an edge.
Thank you for the great
I call it stealing. You have to steal. So at this moment, you have to steal all the knowledge of all these people because they like to brag about it. So you just use their ego to get all the information for you, and then you use it.
That's actually what we've been doing for 2 years. I will just give you a little bit of background in 10 seconds. We also have 2 other companies, actually. The first one is High Games. It's a 1-year-old company where we develop hyper-casual games. You probably heard about it. We work with Rolik. And we've developed more than 50 games over there. And we also have Game Factory. Patrick, maybe you heard about it. It's a game accelerator.
Talk about these. Like, this is the story. We have been doing this. We have tried many times, and we learned X, Y, Z. This is your story. Like, I think even my case, I'm still learning. We have to learn how to tell our story. I mean, in English, Turkish, it sounds weird, but like, you have to convince a lot of people, employees, investors, and so. You have a strong edge. Like, use it.
Yeah, that's why I'm a bit late about talking about our background. I should have added it to the pitch, actually.
Yeah.
But I got one more last question.
Yes and no.
Patrick, do we have time? I have one more question.
Yeah, actually, one last question.
Go on.
Guys, this is a really amazing discussion, but we are already out of time. So, if you have last question, let's say up to 2 minutes, guys, and then we'll wrap it up.
Okay. So about our other company, Game Factory. Game Factory is an online game development hub where it's been going for a year already, and we have reached around 1,600 members and 39 active teams. and there's more than 10 game prototypes, including mostly hyper-casual titles, being produced on Game Factory. And the most fun and best part of it that we are going full online. So there's literally around 40 teams actively working and making games, and we mentor them. So what do you suggest for a really fast-growing accelerator? How can we assure the quality of the education, and how can we get the best feedback from our community? Because keeping the community in control is pretty hard for us. We are getting lots of feedbacks from everyone, and we are trying to choose a direction to grow the best and stabilize the process, actually.
I think you're doing that.
The expert, Patrick.
Yeah, I think you are the expert.
I think you're doing that already. You're doing it already. I mean, I think that, I don't know if Dilek will agree with me now. So I see young people want to grow fast. So you always go to that next milestone, and that next milestone is already, because you like to compare yourself with other success stories, and you want to be where that other success story is. And as such, there's nothing wrong with it. But of course, you also put a huge burden on yourself. So I had once a company that was growing very fast, and I had to stop it after, I think, two or 3 years, because I outgrew myself. You cannot manage what you cannot manage, and that's that simple. So I'm 60 years old, and I'm still learning. So don't try to be too fast. There is no reason. I mean, this is a burden that you put on yourself because you compare yourself with others, and you want to have always growth for growth. But maybe you should think about growth for quality. So not more, but better. So there's a different mindset. So you can go for better, or you can go for more. So this is a choice you have to make. So of course, in Turkey, we are always very pressed because everybody wants to have big numbers. I mean, if you hear Dilek and Enis, they always have big numbers, and we think that we always have to be in the big numbers. But we all start with small numbers. That's the reality. And from a small number, you can go to a big number, but it doesn't happen overnight. I don't know exactly anymore how long the Peak Games is there now. I think 10 years, 12 years.
12.
I'm not sure about 12 years now. 12 years, and they are now a unicorn. That's not 12 years. That's not 1 year. That's 12 years of growing, building, convincing, and then finally get there. So don't put that time pressure on yourself. I think you should better go for quality and less go for quantity, because that's most of the time where you fool yourself. But that's just not knowing too many things of what you're saying. I'm just giving this as a first reflection on what you're saying.
Thank you. Thank you both, guys. It's been very, very helpful for me, and it was great meeting you.
Thank you, Efe. Okay. Good luck.
Thank you.
So once more, thank you, Efe. Wish you the best in your next journey, and as well you, Patrick and Dilek. Thank you very much that you stayed for this big session, that you made time for this whole event, and I think that you actually brought, the best added value to not only the founders, but as well to the whole audience who were asking many more questions. But as I can see all the questions, I think that it will be enough for another 2-hour discussion. But yeah, we are just in the beginning as well. We as a Startup Disrupt, so we are as well looking forward for the next events what we'll organize in Turkey. And we are really grateful that you are part of the first event. So thank you very much. Thank you very much for all of you guys. Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
You, Patrick, I just would like to wish you the best, you on your journey and with your health. So, and thank you very much once more.
Thank you so much.
Hopefully that we can see you, because we are at Startup Disrupt. We are organizing every summer startup boat party. So hopefully next year in Istanbul, once we organize this startup boat party, you'll be part of it with us. We'll absolutely invite you for this. So looking forward. Okay.
I will be there.
Thank you, Patrick. Okay, bye.
Thank you so much. Bye, guys.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Okay, and thank you, all of you guys, that you made time for this first event, official event of our launching event in Turkey. So we are right now ahead of another 2 events this year of expansion events. One will be in the end of October. which will be in Hungary, and in November we'll launch in UK. So stay tuned, and we are really excited that you're on this journey with us. Bye.